Welcome back to the podcast. Another one of Mostly Superheroes here in the basement, St. Louis, Missouri. Got a St. Louis special for you today. Local business, Hands Brewing Company, as well as local legend and robot Voltron, Defender of the Universe. We got Sam the Sleeper from Team Jakey. We got Andy Burgio and Liz Swyers from Four Hands. I'm your host, Logan. This is Mostly Superheroes. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the podcast. Voltron, Defender of the Universe. Back in June 23, we had Kevin Limp, CEO of Four Hands Brewing Company, here in the studio to launch this huge collaboration with five breweries out of state for 5 beers leading up to a giant Voltron collaboration. Individual lions paired with cool recipes with the brewers. This all started with an idea that was born out of Adira, Italian Eats, Bob Koplar, the Koplar family, with direct connections to Voltron, spurred this up with Kevin to do a really fun beer collaboration unlike anything we've seen. Here we are in 2024, and the time has come. All the beers are here. I'm going to go around the table first. Sam the Sleeper, Team Jakey, welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be back again.
You got a Voltron right there.
Oh, yeah. I don't miss an opportunity for a beer.
Yep, absolutely.
And if it can be a Voltron, even better.
And a friend of yours that you've been on the podcast with before, Andy Burgio, head brewer, director of innovation. Andy, welcome back to the pod.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's great to be in studio. Check it out.
I told myself that we wouldn't even talk about the election at all because it is election day. Hopefully you went out and voted. Last time we were on the podcast, you were going to do the independent thing and try to get on the ballot. I didn't see it this time. Maybe one day. I don't know. Where'd that land?
Yeah, I kind of thought the state of America probably wasn't the best time for me to be vice president. So I've just devoted my time to help educate people on the voting process and debunk all that misinformation out there.
Yes, and I think everybody's with you just to stay out of it, get your vote in. That's what we're saying. This by the time this comes out, we'll know. We will know. It'll all be out. And first time on the podcast, friend of mine, friend of the show, Liz Swyers, Chief Marketing Officer. Welcome.
Woo-hoo. Thanks for having me.
Brought some stuff, brought some gear. We got Voltron beers, we got Voltron hats, we got Voltron glasses, and a big Voltron collaboration celebration on November 16th. This is it, guys. I'm looking at you guys now. You're on the other side of getting these beers done. I have them each pulled up with each brewery, and you guys connected with each brewery to design a recipe for each individual beer. So I thought maybe looking back at those a little bit, and we have a special message from some people at Voltron that we'll tease out now, coming at later in the episode. So shout out to the breweries that you guys worked with: Narrow Gauge Brewing Company, Southern Grist Brewing Company, Hop Butcher for the World, Surly Brewing, Tripping Animals Brewing, and Weldworks. You guys, here we are. Andy, how's it been, man? You guys just got volume 6 out. I mean, is it like one big deep breath of like, holy cow, we did it? Congratulations, guys. Congratulations to both of you and to Kevin, to everybody. That was a big undertaking.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we're excited to get it out. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of members on our team that don't really get any credit. They're behind the scene, really grinding on it. Lauren Shirk especially deals with a lot of the approval process and getting things in, on top of keeping all the art on point. But as far as the beer goes and working with Weldworks, it's been awesome.
Yeah, Weldworks Volume 6. The can is beautiful. If you're watching us on YouTube and Spotify, we have images up of these beautiful cans. We got them here in the studio. And then from the marketing side, Liz, you guys did a great job with the videos that you guys worked with, I assume, folks around town. They looked like really professional, nostalgic commercials. And then the cans, the labels themselves. What was this like from your side of things? What was it chaos, like keeping that spreadsheet organized? How'd it go?
Well, I mean, referencing the videos, a prequel knocked it out of the park. That was one of our favorite times, is just opening up that computer to see what they pulled together. Was amazing. Crushed it every single time. But no, I think we had so much fun with this project. I think one of the coolest parts of the decision that we all came together, and how do you do Voltron and how do you make it super cool and special? And then collaborating with these different breweries that are our friends, that we respect, that we wanted to do something with, we were able to continue a story for a long time and showcase just different things between us and the breweries that collabed with us. So, I mean, everything from the beer, the art, the way that we promoted it's just been a blast.
And now it's time to celebrate all the
Yes.
hard work with everybody. So why don't you tease out a little bit? November 16th, that's a Saturday. What's going on at Four Hands at the downtown location now with all the
Yes.
locations that you guys got? What's going to be happening?
Yeah, we just wanted to throw a party. It's been a lot of work, like Andy said earlier, and we're bringing all of our collaborative brewery friends to the brewery. So we will feature different styles of their beer starting at 12 o'clock. A toy store, Toy de Jour from Chicago, is doing a Voltron art show that's only going to 5 cities, and they picked St. Louis to be one of them due to this project that we've been doing. So that's super cool. There's going to be 40 unique pieces of art for sale at Four Hands. And then we're just going to have fun. We're going to show videos. We're going to have a Voltron character there, photo booth. I mean, family friendly, just come out for a good time.
Heck yeah, mostly superheroes will be there. Team Jake, you'll be represented. We'll do some live recording of the podcast in some fashion. So come out and nerd out about Voltron. If you're one of those people watching in the 80s, or if you're watching the Netflix reboot, and now there's going to be a movie with Henry Cavill. So you guys were right on the pulse on this one. And I wanted to go ahead and do a little bit of a highlight reel, a little bit of a look back at when you first announced it on the news. We have a little clip of that featuring when Kevin came on to all the podcast, when Andy came onto the podcast, and a special message from the people at Voltron themselves. Take a listen.
From days of long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend. The legend of Voltron.
That's a throwback. How about tapping into your inner child and giving you a little taste of nostalgia? That's what one local brewer is doing with its new concoction.
And Steve Harris has the heroic blast from the past, being loved by good and feared by evil.
From days of long ago.
This is how I spent most Saturday mornings in the early 80s, on the floor in front of the TV, bowl of Captain Crunch in hand, with crunch berries, of course, watching cartoons. One of my favorites was Voltron, Defender of the Universe. That cool robot voice still gives me goosebumps. Now, you may not know it, but Voltron was the brainchild of St. Louis television pioneer Ted Koplar. His son Bob operates a restaurant peppered with Voltron decor.
Rachel, our manager, was insisting that we have a Voltron beer on tap. The only problem was Voltron beer did not exist.
So Bob decided to change that.
Voltron was this creation that came out of St. Louis. Four Hands is another St. Louis sort of legendary company. Wouldn't it be great to partner with Four Hands to make Voltron beer?
It's like my childhood dream coming true.
Kevin Limp is Four Hands Brewing Company founder.
And as soon as it came across my desk, I just got giddy. Voltron is a massive part of my childhood.
Working with breweries from around the country, Four Hands will produce 6 different cans over the next 2 years. The 5 individual lions that make up Voltron.
And then for that final version, when all the lions come together, we'll do a big collaboration with everybody.
So just how popular are these collector's cans?
We released last Friday, ran out of stock Friday evening. People are excited about this. There's a lot of young Kevins out there, I guess.
Voltron, Defender of the Universe, Quencher of Thirst. Steve Harris, News 4.
Yeah, I mean, first I want to say thank you to Bob Koplar and the team at Adara.
Sure.
Right? I mean, without Bob, none of this would have happened. And thank you so much for thinking of us and our brand to partner with.
I was one of those kids that watched Voltron. I'm old enough to where it was a cartoon that I thought was the best cartoon, and I was of the era of G.I. Joe, He-Man, those kind, and Voltron was amazing. And then over the years, I've just been sitting there thinking how is Transformers so popular and Voltron's not back? Or why isn't Voltron even mentioned? Everybody just talks about Transformers. And I was like, there's so many similarities there. And Voltron did it first. It was amazing.
Hello, Kevin and friends at the Mostly Superheroes podcast. It's Bob Koplar here at Voltron, just chiming in to thank you, Kevin, for taking the leap and fulfilling a lot of people's childhood dreams, certainly mine, of having a Voltron beer. You guys have been amazing partners. I couldn't wish for a better partnership than we've had with Four Hands. Your guys' creativity, your ingenuity, and your willingness to take risks has really been impressive to me And I very much appreciate that because this is really the first of its kind. There are not a lot of licensed beers, meaning licensed intellectual properties that you see on labels of beers, especially one of this character. It's really the first of its kind. It was a risk that Four Hands was willing to take, and they just ran with it. And Kevin, you and your team just executed flawlessly. The product is delicious. It's an outstanding beer. The beer itself is awesome. The labels are amazing. The artwork that you guys have put into this, and even the marketing has been right on point. I've been loving the videos that you've been putting out around Voltron Beer, and it just really taps into that essence of seeing a childhood dream come to life. I don't know if this was intentional. I think maybe it was, but the fact that you guys at Four Hands are working with other breweries around the country hand in hand to make this beer really speaks to the core of what Voltron is, which is great things coming together and the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. And with the 5 partner breweries that you guys have partnered up on, you truly have formed a Voltron of great tasting beer, 5 Lions, and then finally Voltron, of course. So Kevin, my hat's off to you on just an outstanding execution. We could not have picked a better partner for this, and look forward to more to come. So thanks, guys. Take care, and hope to talk soon. Bye.
How about that?
Oh my God, that's awesome.
From Voltron headquarters itself,
Pretty
which
much.
here in St. Louis, congrats. Hope you guys feel that. You know, it is impressive. Me and Sam have been in the tap room since 2012. So it really is so fun to see these exciting, risk-taking beers, collaborations. The labels for all the beers are just so wild, and they match the flavor profiles of all the beers coming out. I don't know if we could have ever seen how far you all would go, but you really have. So kudos on the collab, on everything that's going on, and November 16th is the big day. We got pretty cool ads on this podcast. I'll give us that. However, you might be like me when it comes to certain content, and I just don't want the ads. As little as $1.99 a month, you can get ad-free content from Mostly Superheroes. That's right. Patreon, Apple Podcast, Podbean, all of these channels offer ad-free versions of our episodes coming out early, including the patron pre-show, the show before the show. Open up Patreon, Apple Podcast, or Podbean, or go to mostlysuperheroes.com/support to learn more. Thank you for supporting your favorite independent podcasts. Mostly Superheroes Indie Podcast has a slate of upcoming titles, interviews, and topics ready for our listeners and fans, and you could reach our audiences. Hear our voice, our crew, record an ad in your style, and make your brand heard on Mostly Superheroes. Find out more at mostlysuperheroes.com/sponsor.
Yeah, the only thing I was thinking about is like watching the video with Bob, and it's like he didn't just come up with the idea to start the series of beers. He's been instrumental with us in getting over hurdles and steps and the whole process
all the way through.
And he's the common
Oh my God.
denominator, the glue between us and NBC Universal. It's such a big company, and there's so many voices over there, and they're going through it all for the first time. So if we have any hiccup or a pause or anything, he's jumped in to help us, which has been amazing. And then you just like watching the video of him thinking about it. And I've talked to him during this process a little bit, but just thinking about like how excited I am. I can't imagine being him. And it's your family's work, and your family started this
Your legacy.
in St. Louis, and your legacy, and you get to kind of relive it, and you get the little videos here and there. And then all of a sudden the news pops, you're going to do like a giant movie. And talk about just exciting in your childhood coming forward, but all the emotions that he must feel of his family being integrated in it and it happening has to be amazing.
Starting with his dad, kicking this thing off back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And now like the cherry on top for them is having the beers on tap at Adira. Like
Yeah.
this all
Sure.
started with that simple idea, and like there's Voltron. If you've never been to Adira Italian Eats, there's Voltron stuff everywhere. Now you can get you a beer poured that's Voltron as well. So
Yeah.
really cool.
Really cool. When everybody comes to on November 16th, it's not only, Four Hands Beer and the new Voltron, but you get to try beers from these breweries, and a lot of them from out of state, and you don't
I
get
know, I
to
wish
try
I
them.
knew if they
They're
were.
going to send whatever they want
Yep.
to send.
Yes.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have a general question just because I'm nerding out, but was there anything that was like surprising or that you just didn't see coming working with any of these breweries, especially any ones that you'd never worked with before, or anything like that was awesome, or you just it was a cooler experience than you thought it was going to be?
I think sharing it was the coolest thing, like because a lot of people were in the same boat we were, where they're just jacked to be part of something that has Voltron in it, and the enthusiasm, on a Zoom call that you can see come through. Or a lot of times it's like, oh
Something
yeah,
that's
there's
out of the
somebody on the
norm.
other side of the screen. It's definitely out of the norm, and everybody's excited about it. And that's people share personal stories about watching it as a kid, and kind of like we were watching the news clip about like sitting there and eating cereal. I mean, that's how many
Yeah.
kids' memories are eating cereal and watching cartoons, and just that time by ourselves while your parents are zoning out and glad they didn't have to deal with you.
Yeah.
And how much fun it is. But like recipe stuff and things like that, a lot of us do things very similarly. It's kind of cool to hear people that tried hops that you haven't tried, like Nectarons in this one. And it's a New Zealand tropical hop that we hadn't tried before. It's a good opportunity to experiment and try new things. I mean, you also have people that you trust that make great beer giving your opinion, as opposed to reading the marketing,
Yeah.
clip that they put out about the hops, and from people who are trying to sell hops. And we buy hops from great people, and we have great partners, but still it's like it's not even our reps or the growers a lot of times that are putting together marketing information. So getting word of mouth from people, and being able to try those hops and put them in beer, and that part's been exciting. But really, it's just sharing it, um, and getting to know people. And
Gotcha. Yeah, because I imagine this is a lot different than the everyday, hey, we're brewing a beer for the tap room, or a new label, or just a new beer we're coming out with. This was like pretty grandiose as far as like,
100%. It takes a lot of work,
yeah.
but that's where I love that we took this angle for it, because if we went the route of just creating one Voltron beer, it would have been super cool. But to be able to keep it exciting and alive for 2 years,
hmm
that's a lot. So to be able to partner with other breweries and then have a different label for each one,
Just
it's
getting a
just
label.
awesome.
Something to look forward
Just
to.
something to look forward to,
label
like,
approved
what's
is crazy.
next? Like,
And
what's gonna be next?
you're in the fandom. I'm thinking like Comic Cons and wherever Voltron fans go, like
Yeah.
you roll in with a keg of this, like that is fun. Like
Right.
that's fun. That's a fun nerdy day.
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's one of the great things about, you guys know, I don't dress like I'm a head brewer. I'm not wearing overalls, and I don't have a big beard and like all the stereotype. So I can slip into the bar and grab a water and hear people talking about it during the releases or when they just come in. And it's great to hear other people's excitement and relive those stories about Voltron, talking about how they have every can. Even one of my
Mhm.
friends, we hang out fairly often, but I hadn't been down in his basement in a while. He had all the cans, on the shelf, and he's a 40-year-old man, and he's collecting everything. And, I can imagine that there's a lot of people that are doing that.
Yeah.
He's smart. He drinks them all and then he collects them. That's the best way to do it.
hmm
Because they're never going to get better. That's it. Especially these have all
Right.
been IPAs. So
How
don't,
long can they stay in the
don't,
cans?
don't save them. I mean, they can stay a long time, but
Turn into
generally
barley
for
wines.
IPAs, we like them drink within 3 months. Just because, we have a great new canning line, and a lot of things we do to keep oxygen out, but there's still a little bit of oxygen that gets in, and oxygen in our hops eventually starts to turn it to like caramel and cardboard and not juicy and fresh. And a lot of these are hazies, or even the West Coast ones, we use really fruity hops. So there's a lot of that fruit character, and a lot of them are really approachable too. We try to kind of keep it in that vein. So people are like, I'm not an IPA person. Well, there's newer kind of IPAs, and the hazy IPAs, didn't even fit into the style of an IPA before, because the bittering units from hops, which what you get when you put them in, to get nerdy, if you put hops in at the beginning of the boil, that's where you get the bitterness from. You get, there's acids that release, and there's international bittering units is how we judge it, but that's how you get that bitterness. And most of these beers, we're not doing that. And a lot of times we even cool the sugary water down, called wort, to 170 degrees, so it's not extracting those essential oils that make it hoppy. What people think is hoppy, which is bitterness, but hoppy really these days, especially with American growers, is more fruit, and juicy lemons, limes, passion fruit, and peaches, and whatever fruit you can think of, we can find it in hops these days. And we can really get it to come through with a malt bill and chemical adjustments for the water, adding some calcium to the water, and then the hops, and then cooling it down. They're real juicy, they're real approachable. I mean, they're like a lot of them are like the mimosas of beers because you're just like so juicy. People don't even understand how it can be a beer unless they're really into craft and they've been riding this ride with us and gone from the beginning of, we're drinking blonde ales just to get people's palates right to
Yeah.
a pale ale to, it's a wheat beer to a hoppy wheat beer. And that journey we've been on as a brewery over the last 12 years as educators and the other breweries around us and helping, train people's palates that, like where we grew up on things and, I'm not outside of having a bush every once in a while, but that shouldn't be what you think is beer. That is a style of beer. And there's so many other styles. And, before Prohibition, there was a brewery on like every corner. And with Prohibition and marketing, it kind of got into marketing terms and big macro breweries, which everything has its place. And I really appreciate things about those breweries, that consistency. But, trying these beers, it's just really opens people's eyes a lot of times. People that say they don't like an IPA when they try a lot of the Voltron series, some of them have juice in them, some of them just have juicy hops. But like it is definitely all beer. It's made with all beer ingredients, and it tastes totally different than what people will think if they haven't had those styles. So that part of it's fun too because it's Voltron and it's approachable and people have so many memories. But the beers are great and they're great in a way that it's approachable so people can try them and enjoy them too.
Yeah, it's like what Four Hands always does best, just like having the different flavor profiles, plus with the big expansion you guys have done downtown and being able to make the beer the way you do, to just say like, hey, we're going to try something, and you guys have new beers so often. It really is I've heard it happen with these beers, specifically the Voltron beers, where someone's like, I don't drink IPA, and they take a drink and they're like, oh, that's really good. Like someone that was like, I'd never drink one. Now I'm drinking it here at the brewery. It's delicious. So it's just you bringing that same thing you guys always do, but to Voltron.
Yeah, IPAs have come a long way in 10 years.
Yeah, and I still love going backwards. I like going back to not to the years of like how many IBUs can you possibly put in a beer, which luckily we didn't really get caught up in too much.
I don't feel
as a
like you ever
brewery.
had like an Evil Twin Molotov cocktail,
the
or
triple,
the
hot,
triple
like,
IPA.
so many IBUs that you can't even perceive it with your tongue, and your mouth just is your palate's blown out for anything you drink the rest of the day. I don't miss those so much, but the IPAs or the West Coast IPAs back in the day, I'll still go back to those, and I love hazies. There's places for all those styles of beer, and it's really been great with our new tasting rooms because we've had the opportunity to kind of do small batch, sometimes test batch, sometimes just small batch of beers that we want to have on tap and that we want to drink. We didn't really have that opportunity before because you had to sell that, and how do you sell a minimum of 60 kegs of some styles, and now you spread it out and you sell it really easily, and it's fresh and it tastes great.
And you have downtown, Chesterfield, Kirkwood, and then what's the Sculpture Park? What's been happening out at Sculpture Park?
They're just a partner of ours, so we've just been doing events out there with them. But we will be opening in the airport Q1 of next year, so that's another exciting venture also.
Ooh, what terminal?
No, yeah,
Southwest terminal.
Southwest, yes.
Good.
Perfect.
Yep.
Oh man,
Yeah, it's under construction right now, so
all over the place. Hey, breweries and ice cream parlors, go out there and try some beers, man. Like you can taste them, you pour them right up, little taster. Like you don't know what you want, you're gonna want to try some stuff. Go to a Four Hands, try some beers or some seltzers, some canned cocktails. You got Withered Oak, 1220 spirits. You're a whiskey person, you're a gin person. This has been in the works for a long time.
We got something for everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Taking over St. Louis, Missouri.
bubble tea next.
November 16th, what can people expect at noon on that Saturday when they roll into Four Hands?
I think it's just going to be a big celebration. I forgot to mention we've been working on some new Four Hands merch from Four Hands Voltron, obviously series. So we're really excited about that. We're going to have some surprise merch drops. So kind of kick off that holiday shopping experience too. But yeah, it's, everybody's going to come out. I know Koplar's team is going to be there too. It's just going to be a party. So definitely come out. It's going to be a good time.
And we'll see you November 16th at Four Hands for Voltron, an epic beer series collaboration celebration. We'll see you there.
Sounds good.
Thank you guys for coming in. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
Mostly Superheroes is proud to be funded in part by our sponsors. Mostly Superheroes is funded in part by paying patrons who receive early, ad-free, and exclusive episodes. Subscribe at mostlysuperheroes.com/support. Thank you for supporting your favorite independent podcast. Mostly Superheroes is an independent podcast owned and operated by Carrogan Ventures in St. Louis, Missouri. Hosted by Logan Janis, Andy Hunn, and Scott Swearingen. Brand and creative by Carrie Clark Design. Music by Audionautics. Learn more at audionautics.com. Find more at mostlysuperheroes.com.